They say trust is built slowly and lost in a single glance. I didn't expect to find that moment in something as small as the way my wife looked at her phone. But now, I can't stop replaying it. I've been married to Lily for 10 years. 10 good years, I thought. We weren't perfect, who is? But we had something solid. A house we worked hard for, dinners where we laughed over cheap wine, and quiet nights watching old movies. We had routines, inside jokes, the kind of comfort you grow into like a favorite sweater. But lately, that comfort started to itch. It began small. Little changes that you could easily ignore if you wanted to. She started working late. Not every night, just here and there. A meeting ran long. A client needed something urgent. Always a reason, always delivered with a tired smile and a quick kiss on the cheek. Then came the phone. She never used to care about it much. Now she took it everywhere. Into the bathroom. To bed. Even into the laundry room, like she was afraid it might say something if she left it alone too long. But the thing that got me, the thing I can't forget, was how she started turning it upside down whenever I walked into the room. Not once or twice. Every single time. A text would light up, and without even glancing at it, she'd flip the screen over like muscle memory. Casual. Controlled. But I saw it. And once you see something like that, it sticks in your brain like a splinter. I tried to shake it off. Maybe she was planning something. A surprise. An anniversary thing. Something sweet. But our anniversary passed 2 weeks ago. She got me a card. We had takeout. That was it. And then came the underwear. It showed up in our laundry basket out of nowhere. Not the usual cotton briefs or lace she wore on special occasions. This was new. Sleek. Black. Delicate. Something chosen, not just bought. Something meant to be seen. But she didn't wear it for me. I only noticed because I do the laundry sometimes. She'd wear it on Saturdays, always Saturdays, before she left the house saying she was going shopping. That word, shopping. It started sounding like a cover. I didn't want to be that guy, the paranoid, insecure husband digging through drawers and checking receipts. But the feeling was growing. This quiet, gnawing thing. Like a low hum in the back of your mind you can't turn off. One Saturday, I asked if she wanted company. Told her I needed new shoes, maybe we could hit the mall together. She smiled and said, "It's just boring errands today, babe. I won't be long." Kissed my cheek. Grabbed her purse. Walked out the door. And wore the new underwear. I stood in the hallway for a while after she left, staring at the front door like it might give me a different answer. That's when I decided. I had to know. I'm not proud of it. But I followed her. I waited 5 minutes, grabbed my keys, and kept a distance. My heart was pounding like I was the one cheating. I felt like a complete idiot, tailing my own wife like I was in some bad detective movie. But the deeper part of me, the part that had started to rot with doubt, needed confirmation. She didn't drive to the mall. She didn't even make it halfway there. Instead, she pulled into the parking lot of the old supermarket across town. The one we used to go to before they built the newer, shinier one closer to our place. It was half empty, the sign cracked and faded. I parked 2 rows back, close enough to see but not be seen. She sat in the car for a few minutes. Checking her phone. Smiling at something. Then another car pulled up beside her. And that's when I stopped breathing. It was my brother's car. At first I didn't believe it. Maybe someone with the same model. But then I saw the dent on the side fender, same spot he got clipped last year, and I knew. She didn't hesitate. She got out, walked over, and slid into the passenger seat like it was the most natural thing in the world. And then they drove off. I just sat there. Watching their taillights disappear. My brother, Aaron. My younger brother. The golden child. The one with the smooth smile and the charm and the easy way of making people like him. The one who used to crash on my couch when he got dumped or fired or broke. The one I helped get a job at my firm 2 years ago. The one I trusted. I sat in my car for a long time. I didn't know whether to scream or cry or just drive into a wall. I did none of those things. I just stared at the empty parking spot where her car used to be, feeling like something inside me had come undone. I didn't tell anyone. Not yet. Not even Aaron. I wanted to be sure. Maybe it wasn't what it looked like. Maybe there's an explanation. Maybe they're working on something. Planning something for me. A surprise. A gift. A party. Something. Or maybe I'm a damn fool. That night, she came home at 6:30. Carried a grocery bag with a baguette sticking out of it. Kissed my cheek and said, "The store was packed today." I just nodded. Pretended to believe her. But I didn't sleep. The next morning, I checked her phone while she was in the shower. I've never done that before. Felt like I was invading her soul. But I did it anyway. It was locked. And the password was changed. It had never been changed before. And then, this morning, something new happened. Something that pulled the rug out from under all of it. An anonymous message. No name. No number. Just 6 words. You're not even close to ready. You're not even close to ready. That message sat on my screen like a loaded gun. I stared at those 6 words until my eyes burned. They weren't threatening, not directly. No insults. No demands. Just a cryptic warning. But somehow, that made it worse. Whoever sent it knew something, and they knew I didn't. I tried calling the number. Straight to voicemail. I texted back. "Who is this?" No response. I sat on the edge of the bed, my phone cold in my hand, listening to the shower run as Lily hummed some song like everything was normal. Like our marriage wasn't rotting from the inside out. And now some stranger was involved. I wanted to wake her up, shake her, demand the truth, but what truth? I didn't know anything yet. I just had suspicions. Half glimpses. One meeting in a parking lot and a locked phone. That's not proof. That's a gut feeling clawing at my sanity. I needed more. I needed answers. But more than anything, I needed control. Because for the first time in years, I felt like my life wasn't mine anymore. It belonged to secrets, to lies, to someone else's story unfolding behind my back. That morning over breakfast, I asked her again, casually, like I was just making conversation. "You seeing your sister this weekend?" She didn't even flinch. "She's out of town for a wedding. I might just stay in, finally clean that mess in the hallway closet." She laughed softly and reached for her coffee. I nodded like I believed her. She was lying. Her sister had posted Instagram stories from her backyard barbecue. I'd seen them the night before. The rest of the week, I went through the motions, work, chores, small talk, but I was somewhere else the whole time. Watching. Listening. Gathering crumbs. I noticed how she started locking her car, even in our own driveway. How she angled her phone away when texting, even when she thought I wasn't looking. I even noticed her perfume, something new, something floral and soft that she only wore on weekends. Saturday came, and I told her I had to go into work for a last-minute project. She barely reacted. Just nodded and said, "Good luck," like she expected me to be gone. But I didn't go to work. I waited until she left, wearing that same soft perfume and her casual weekend jeans, the ones she never wore around the house. I followed again, this time staying further back, 2 cars behind, heart hammering in my throat the whole way. She drove right back to the same supermarket parking lot. Waited. And 5 minutes later, Aaron pulled in again. Same car. Same seat. Same calm familiarity, like this was routine now. Only this time, I didn't just sit and watch. I followed them. I didn't have a plan. I just knew I couldn't go home. I had to know. I kept my distance, praying they wouldn't notice. They drove out of town, about 15 minutes, to a quiet residential area I didn't recognize. Suburban. Calm. Too calm. Then they pulled into a small house with a green door and no car in the driveway. She got out like she'd done it 100 times. Used a key. Aaron followed. The door closed. And they stayed inside. That was it. That was the moment I couldn't deny it anymore. Whatever they were doing in there, it wasn't innocent. I sat in my car for over an hour, watching that house like some broken-hearted detective. At one point I turned the engine off, just listening to the ticking of the cooling metal. Thinking about every family dinner, every birthday, every time Aaron smiled across the table and asked how Lily and I were doing. He knew. He always knew. I almost confronted them then and there. Walked up to that door, banged on it, and demanded the truth. But something stopped me. Maybe it was fear. Maybe I wasn't ready to hear it out loud. Maybe that anonymous message echoed louder in my head than I wanted to admit. You're not even close to ready. Ready for what? I drove away. That night, she came home late. Hair tied up. A grocery bag in her hand. Sorry, she said. I got caught up reorganizing the closet. Ended up throwing half of it away. She kissed me on the cheek and walked to the kitchen like nothing had happened. I wanted to scream. Instead, I poured a drink. Sat on the back porch. Let the silence eat me alive. Around midnight, I got a text. Same number. You need to talk to your father. My father. What the hell does he have to do with this? He and I weren't close. Never had been. He was a hard man. Stoic. The kind who thought emotions were weaknesses and apologies were currency. We talked maybe twice a month, usually about nothing that mattered. But now I had no choice. The next morning, I drove out to his place. A quiet old house on a corner lot, filled with years of silence and resentment. He opened the door in his robe, looking more annoyed than surprised. This early on a Sunday, he muttered. I need to ask you something. He looked me over like he was trying to figure out how much trouble I was in. Then stepped aside. We sat in his cluttered den. I didn't waste time. Is there something going on between Lily and Aaron? He blinked. Once. But it was enough. A flicker. A shift. A crack in the stone. No, he said slowly. Why would you think that? I stared him down. I saw them. He exhaled. Rubbed his temple like it hurt. Then looked at me and said something I'll never forget. It's not what you think. I laughed. Actually laughed. Dad, I watched my wife get into my brother's car and disappear into some house for 2 hours. What the hell else am I supposed to think? He looked at the floor. Then said, there are things you don't know about Aaron. And about me. That's when I knew. There was a story underneath the story. He stood up. Walked to a drawer, pulled out an old, dusty photo album, and handed it to me. Start here, he said. And be careful what questions you ask next. I opened the album. The first picture was one I'd never seen. A woman. Young. Smiling. Holding a baby. The name underneath. Lily. There she was. Lily, my wife, cradling a baby in her arms, smiling like it was the happiest day of her life. But it wasn't our child. And the date in the corner told me the photo was taken years before I ever met her. I stared at the photo, frozen. The air in my father's living room suddenly felt heavier. Like it was pressing down on my chest. I flipped to the next page. Another photo. Same woman. This time standing in front of an old brick apartment building. She was younger, maybe 19 or 20. No ring on her finger. Her clothes simple. Her smile tight. She looked afraid. No, not afraid, uncertain. Like someone just asked her to pretend everything was okay. I looked up at my father. Why do you have pictures of Lily from before I met her? He sat back down, eyes low. Because I've known her longer than you have. I didn't speak. I couldn't. My mind was splitting in two, trying to connect timelines that didn't match. She lived in the building I managed in the early 2000s, he said, voice low, careful. I didn't know her well. Just another tenant at the time. Quiet. Polite. Always paid rent in cash. But then one night, she showed up at my door. Crying. Scared. Said she didn't know who else to go to. I didn't interrupt. I wanted to. I wanted to scream. But something told me I needed to hear it all. She said she'd gotten into something with a guy. Someone older. Dangerous. Said she was pregnant. Said the guy didn't want the baby and was threatening her. I didn't ask too many questions. I gave her a room upstairs in the back for a few months. Protected her. My throat was dry. So that baby in the photo. He nodded. That was hers. A boy. She named him Samuel. My heart dropped. Where is he now? My father hesitated. I don't know. She left one night. Disappeared. Took the baby. Never said goodbye. I didn't hear from her again for almost 10 years. I closed the album. My fingers were trembling. And when she reappeared, was it with me? No, he said quietly. It was with Aaron. That's when it all clicked. And everything inside me collapsed. Aaron. My brother. He'd met her first. Not at some party. Not through work. She wasn't some new face he brought around. She was already a ghost from the past. And he never told me. She never told me. I stood up too fast. The room swayed. How long were they together? Not long. A few months, maybe less. She came back into town, said she needed help. He let her crash at his place for a while. I didn't ask questions. Then one day she was gone again. A few years later, you told me you'd met this amazing woman at the bookstore. I recognized her immediately, but I said nothing. You let me marry her. He met my eyes, calm but filled with something close to shame. You were happy. I thought maybe she was trying to start over. And honestly, you didn't leave room for anyone to stop you. I felt sick. Like I had swallowed glass. She never told me about Aaron, I whispered. Or the baby. My father just shook his head. Maybe she had her reasons. Maybe she thought you'd leave if you knew. Would I have? I didn't know. All I knew was that the woman I married, the woman I trusted, was someone I didn't recognize anymore. That night, I didn't confront her. I couldn't. I drove home, sat in the car outside for nearly an hour, staring at our windows lit up like a sitcom house. I imagined her inside, maybe folding laundry or scrolling her phone. Maybe texting him. I wanted answers. But I needed proof first. Not just photos or stories from the past, I needed to see it. To catch her in the lie she built like a palace around us. The next day, I went back to that little green door house where I'd seen them. I parked 2 blocks away. Walked over. Waited. And sure enough, 20 minutes later, she pulled up. Alone. She let herself in. This time, I followed. Quietly. I waited a full 10 minutes, then walked up to the side of the house and peered through a partially open curtain. What I saw made my blood freeze. Inside the small living room, Lily sat on the couch beside a boy. Maybe 7, 8 years old. His legs swung off the edge of the cushion. She was talking softly, brushing his hair behind his ear. Smiling. He leaned his head on her shoulder. And then Aaron walked in from the kitchen with a glass of water. The boy jumped up and hugged him. The 3 of them sat together, like a family. Like a family I wasn't part of. I backed away from the window before they could see me. Walked back to my car like I was moving underwater. So there it was. The truth. The shopping trips. The secrecy. The perfume. The fake errands. She wasn't just cheating. She was living a second life. With my brother. And a child I never knew existed. Her child. That night, when she came home, I was waiting at the kitchen table. She looked surprised. Did you come home early? I didn't answer. I slid the photo album across the table. She froze. Her hands trembled as she opened it. She didn't speak for a full minute. Then she looked at me, eyes wide, moist, cornered. Who gave this to you? Why didn't you tell me? I was going to. I just. When? After another 10 years. After you and Aaron raised your kid together behind my back. She sat down slowly, holding the album like it might explode. I didn't plan this. I swear to you. You didn't plan to sleep with my brother again. Or to hide a whole child from me. Which part didn't you plan? She shut her eyes tight. It's not like that. Then tell me what it's like. She opened her mouth. But then my phone buzzed on the table. One new message. Same number. This time, it wasn't cryptic. It was a photo. Of Aaron. Standing in our bedroom. Looking through my drawers. The message said. You thought she was the only one lying. You think you're the victim, until you realize you're just the fool. I thought Lily's betrayal was the heart of the story. But now I see. Aaron was writing his own chapter. One I never saw coming. The message sat on the table between us like a live wire. A photo of Aaron, in my bedroom, rummaging through my things. And that caption burned into my brain. You thought she was the only one lying. I showed Lily the screen. She blinked, stunned. What is this? You tell me. I don't know. When was this taken? Why would he? I didn't let her finish. I got up and walked into the bedroom, opened the top drawer where I kept important documents, spare keys, some old letters, and the USB drive where I stored personal records and backups. The drawer looked normal. But something was off. The USB drive was gone. He didn't just stop by. He took something. I stood there for a moment, breathing hard, trying not to let my rage carry me. But my brain was on fire. That drive had everything on it, old emails, tax records, a journal I used to keep in my 20s, even the prenup Lily and I had signed before we married. I walked back out to the kitchen, jaw clenched. Lily was sitting with her head in her hands. Why would he take your USB? She asked without looking at me. I don't know, I said, but I'm going to find out. I didn't sleep that night. Neither did she. We stayed in separate rooms. The silence between us was louder than any argument we could have had. I kept replaying that image of Aaron in my house. Like he belonged there. Like he still thought he could take whatever he wanted, including her. By morning, I had made up my mind. I drove straight to his place. He wasn't expecting me. When he opened the door, his face did something strange, smiled first, then froze. Hey, man, he said cautiously, what's going on? I pushed past him without asking. Where is it? He turned. Where's what? You know damn well. The USB. From my bedroom drawer. He paused, tried to play dumb. I don't know what you're talking about. I pulled out my phone, showed him the photo. You want to try again? That shook him. He backed away a little. Who sent you this? I was hoping you could tell me. He didn't answer. His silence was a confession. I moved closer. Aaron. What are you doing? What the hell is going on with you and Lily? And don't lie to me again. He finally sat down, his hands on his knees, eyes low. Look, he said. I didn't go into your house to steal from you. I needed to find something. You broke into my house, Aaron. I didn't break in, Lily gave me the code years ago. I never used it until now. That was a gut punch. She'd given him our alarm code. Back when? Why? What were you looking for? I demanded. He rubbed his face. Something Dad left behind. My blood ran cold. Dad. He nodded. A will. A letter. Something. I know he gave it to you or hid it in your stuff. I stared at him. What does Dad have to do with this? He looked me in the eyes then, and what I saw scared me, not anger, not guilt, but fear. Real fear. He told me something before he died, Aaron said slowly. Something I didn't understand at the time. He said not everything is what it seems. He said I needed to find the truth about Mom. Our mother had died when we were teenagers. Car crash. Open and shut. That's what we were always told. I sat down across from him, heart pounding. What are you talking about? He stood, walked to a locked cabinet, and pulled out a folder. Handed it to me. Inside were medical reports, old letters, and a small photograph of our mother in a hospital bed, only the date didn't match what we were told. She'd been alive weeks after the crash. The hospital was listed under a different name. A private facility. She didn't die right away, Aaron said. Dad lied to us. My head was spinning. Why? I don't know. But I think Lily knows something. She was there back then. And Dad. I think he brought her into our lives for a reason. Maybe to protect something. Or hide something. Suddenly, the picture was much bigger than a cheating wife. I left Aaron's apartment with more questions than answers. I drove around for a while, trying to process everything. Every lie unraveled another one. That night, I sat down with Lily. No more shouting. No more cornering. I just asked. Did you know my mother? She flinched. Her silence was everything. She wasn't in a car crash, was she? I asked. No, she whispered. She overdosed. Your father told the police it was an accident. But she was in a private clinic for months before she passed. I used to visit her. You what? She looked at me, tears forming. I was just a volunteer. I worked there during my nursing program. She liked talking to me. She didn't trust anyone else. Especially not your father. My breath caught. What did she tell you? Lily wiped her face. That she wanted out. That she'd found something. I don't know what. She was scared of him. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Scared of my dad. She nodded. And before she died, she gave me something. A letter. Told me to deliver it to you one day, when the time was right. I leaned forward. Where is it? She hesitated. In the Green Door house, she said. I kept it hidden there. The same house where you've been meeting with Aaron. Her expression collapsed into guilt. Yes. Because we were trying to piece it together. The boy, Samuel, is my son. But not with Aaron. My chest tightened. Then who? She looked up at me slowly, and her voice cracked. He's your half-brother. The room went still. What? I didn't want you to know like this. I didn't plan for any of it. But your father, he was involved with my mother. She was one of his tenants. When she died, I was 12. He took care of me. Paid for my school. Gave me money. Told me to keep quiet about everything I'd seen. She was trembling now. And then, years later, he came back into my life. Asked me to look out for you. Make sure you were happy. Said you were the only one he really trusted. That you didn't need to know the truth, about your mother, about him, or about the others. My voice was barely a whisper. What others? She reached into her bag, pulled out a folded letter, aged, yellowed, brittle at the edges. I was going to burn this, she said. But now, maybe you need to see it. I unfolded it. It was written in my mother's handwriting. And the first line read, if you're reading this, it means I'm dead. And your father is not the man you think he is. There's something sacred about a mother's handwriting. Even after all these years, it still felt like she was speaking to me from the other side, warning me. Guiding me. But nothing could have prepared me for what she wrote in that letter. My hands were shaking as I unfolded it. The paper was old, fragile, but her words were clear, written in careful cursive, words that had waited almost 2 decades to reach me. If you're reading this, it means I'm dead. And your father is not the man you think he is. I'm sorry. I should have told you sooner. But I was scared. And tired. And I didn't want to ruin what little good you had left in him. But you deserve to know the truth. I sat on the couch in silence as Lily watched me. She didn't speak. She just sat there, her hands clutched in her lap, as I read the letter from a woman I hadn't heard from since I was 16. When I married your father, I thought I knew him. But over time, I learned he was keeping secrets. There were other women, young, vulnerable women he helped and used. I was one of them once. I stayed for you. For your brother. But I found something, years later, documents, papers, payments made to girls, one of whom was just 15. That girl was Lily's mother. I stopped reading. My ears were ringing. I looked up at Lily. Her eyes were glossy, but she didn't flinch. I knew he was helping your mom, I said. He told me he was just looking out for her. She nodded. That's what everyone thought. But it wasn't just charity. He had a pattern. A way of inserting himself into people's lives. Making them dependent on him. My mom was just one of many. He left her when I was born. Paid her to keep quiet. And Lily? I asked. When did you know? I didn't find out until I was 16. I found a letter my mother had hidden in a box under her bed. It said who my father was. Your father. My mouth was dry. So. Samuel, your son, is technically my half-brother. Yes. I leaned back, trying to breathe. I confronted your father, the letter continued. I told him I was going to tell you and Aaron everything. He begged me not to. Then he threatened me. Said if I told anyone, he'd ruin us. That's when I realized how dangerous he really was. There was a pause in the writing. The ink was smudged, like she'd cried while writing. If you're reading this, please don't let him control you like he did me. Don't let him rewrite our story. You deserve to know what kind of man raised you. At the bottom of the letter, in shaky pen. Forgive me. I put the letter down slowly. The room felt colder. Lily leaned forward, voice soft. I didn't want it to come out like this. I never wanted you to find out from some cryptic message or family scandal. I loved you. I still do. Then why lie? I asked. She hesitated. Because you believed in him. In family. In stability. And I thought if you ever saw the truth, if you knew everything, it would destroy you. It has. She moved closer. I wasn't with Aaron behind your back. Not romantically. We were trying to piece this together. To understand what your father left behind. The Green Door house. That was a safe place. Somewhere we could meet without anyone knowing. Then what about the kid? I asked. Why did you keep him a secret from me? She looked down. Because I didn't want to burden you with more of his legacy. Samuel isn't yours, but he's part of this mess. And I didn't know how to explain it without unraveling everything. I stood and walked to the window. The street was quiet. A couple kids on bikes rode past, laughing like the world wasn't collapsing. Everything I thought I knew about my life, my family, my wife, my childhood, was warped now. Darker. Twisted. The next day, I went back to my father's house. Alone. He was in the garage, working on some old engine. He didn't look surprised to see me. You've been busy, I said. He wiped his hands with a rag. We need to talk, don't we? I read Mom's letter. He sighed, deeply. I figured you would. You lied. About her death. About Lily. About everything. He didn't deny it. I did what I had to. No. You did what you wanted to. You used people. Manipulated them. Lily's mother. My mother. You ruined lives, and you justified it by calling it protection. He tossed the rag down. Don't stand there and moralize me, boy. You think you know the world now because you read a couple letters. You don't know what it was like back then. The things I had to keep hidden just to keep this family together. This family. The one you poisoned from the inside out. He stepped forward, his voice suddenly cold. You came from nothing. I gave you a life. A name. A future. Everything I did was for you and your brother. You did it for yourself. For control. His face twitched. Then he looked away. And for the first time, he looked small. Tired. almost defeated. "I never loved your mother," he said quietly. "Not the way she deserved. But she was strong. Stronger than me. That scared me." "So you broke her?" He didn't answer. I turned to leave. "You don't walk away from this," he said behind me. But I didn't stop. Because I already had. Later that night, I met with Aaron again. Told him everything. Showed him the letter. We sat in silence for a long time. Two grown men who just realized their entire childhood was built on lies. "We were just pieces to him," Aaron finally said. "You. Me. Lily. All part of some broken chessboard he thought he controlled. Not anymore. We agreed to get a lawyer. Not to sue. But to make things official. A full review of our father's estate. Documents. Records. Maybe even the DNA test that Aaron had been too afraid to take before. We also agreed to protect Samuel. He wasn't at fault for any of this. He deserved peace, not chaos. Back home, I found Lily in the kitchen, packing a small bag. "I think I should go," she said softly. "Why?" "Because you need time to decide what this all means to you." I looked at her. Really looked at her. "I don't hate you," I said. She looked up, surprised. "You lied. You kept secrets. But you weren't the only one. And in the end, you tried to protect me from something I wasn't ready to face." "I still love you," she whispered. "I believe you." We stood there, not touching, not moving, just two people holding a lifetime of pain in a single shared silence. "I'm not asking you to forgive everything," she said. "But if you want to talk again someday, I'll be there." She left the bag by the door and walked out. I didn't stop her. Because for the first time, I wanted to stand still. To feel the weight of everything. To let the truth breathe. And as I sat down, the house so quiet I could hear my own heartbeat. My phone buzzed. Another message. This one from a new number. "You found your truth. Now it's Aaron's turn." Just when I thought the truth had finally come to the surface, another shadow rose up to meet it. The message said it was Aaron's turn. And something in my gut told me, whatever was coming next wasn't about my father. It was about him. I didn't respond to the text right away. I just stared at it. "You found your truth. Now it's Aaron's turn," and felt that familiar tightness in my chest again. Like I was standing on the edge of a cliff, one step away from free fall. Who was sending these? Who was keeping score? And why did it feel like we were all still being watched? The next morning, I called Aaron. "Can we meet?" I asked. "Something wrong," he said, sounding tired. "Maybe. I don't know. But I think we're not done with this yet." We met at a quiet diner on the edge of town. One of those places where the coffee always tastes burnt and the waitresses remember your name even if you've only been there twice. We sat in the back, same booth we used to eat at when we were kids with $5 and nothing better to do. I slid my phone across the table and showed him the message. He frowned. "Now it's my turn." What the hell is that supposed to mean? I don't know. But whoever sent me those photos, that letter, they're still watching. He leaned back. "You think this is some kind of game?" "No. I think it's revenge." Aaron went quiet for a while. Stirred his coffee like it had answers at the bottom of the cup. Then he said, "There's something I never told you." I looked up. "About Lily?" He shook his head. "No. About Mom. About that last night." I leaned in. "Go on." He sighed. "I was the one who found her." My stomach dropped. "You never told me that." "I was 16. You were already out with your friends." "Dad was working late, at least, that's what he said." I came home and she was collapsed in the bathroom. Pills everywhere. I panicked. Called Dad first. He told me not to call 911. Said he'd handle it. I stared at him. "You listened to him?" "I didn't know better," he snapped. "I was a kid." He came home, called someone, and they took her away in an unmarked van. Like it was planned. I didn't see her again. A few weeks later, he told us she'd died in a crash. I was silent. Processing. I've lived with that guilt for years, Aaron added. Wondering if I could have saved her. Wondering if I should have called for help anyway. You should have. I know. His voice cracked. But I didn't. And I think that's why I let Lily back into my life when she showed up. Because I needed to make something right. I nodded slowly. What do you think this new message is about? Aaron stared out the window. I don't know. But if it's about me, then someone knows more than we do. And that scares me. That evening, we drove back to our father's house together. We had only one goal, to search every inch of it. Whatever secrets were left, we had to find them before someone else used them against us. We started in the basement. It was cold, musty, filled with boxes stacked in no order. We went through old tax records, family albums, letters from people we didn't recognize. And then, tucked behind a loose panel in the wall, we found a locked tin box. No key. Aaron grabbed a screwdriver and pried it open. Inside were cassette tapes. Dozens of them. Each labeled with a date. One caught my eye, August 17, 2003. The day after Mom supposedly died. Aaron found an old cassette player in another box and popped the tape in. At first, just static. Then, voices. It was our father. Calm. Controlled. Cold. The girl is gone. Clinic confirmed. No leak so far. But we'll need to clean up anything left behind. Especially the nurse. She knew too much. My blood went cold. Another voice came on, familiar, younger. Aaron leaned in. That's me. I saw her last night. She was crying. She said something about a letter. I think she left one. A pause. Then our father again. If she did, we'll find it. And if she gave it to someone, they'll be dealt with. Aaron's face went pale. He stopped the tape. I don't remember saying that. I don't remember any of that. I looked at him. You were a scared kid. Maybe he manipulated you. Or maybe I helped him and blocked it out. No, I said firmly. You didn't know what you were doing. He was always pulling strings. Always shaping reality to fit what he wanted. Aaron sat down on the floor, his head in his hands. God. What if I'm part of this? What if I am one of his monsters? You're not. He looked up, eyes red. How do you know? Because you've spent every day since trying to make things right. Later that night, after we each went back to our homes, I couldn't sleep. Around midnight, my phone buzzed again. Same number. This time, there was no message. Just a video. I hesitated before opening it. When I finally pressed play, it showed a grainy security camera feed, my father's garage. Time-stamped 2 weeks before his death. He was arguing with someone, furious, pacing, gesturing violently. And the person he was yelling at was Aaron. I leaned in. I could barely make out the words, but one thing stood out clearly. My father lunged at Aaron, grabbed him by the collar, and screamed something before shoving him. The audio was weak, but one phrase cut through. You owe me. I covered for you, she died because of you. Then the video cut out. I stared at the screen, my stomach turning inside out. My phone buzzed again. A final message. The truth is heavier than guilt. Be sure he can carry it. I didn't know what to believe anymore. Was Aaron more involved in our mother's death than even he realized? Or was he just another pawn in our father's game? One thing was certain, whoever was sending these messages didn't want revenge. They wanted the whole story exposed. Piece by piece. And they were using us to do it. The next morning, I called Lily. I need to ask you something, I said. Anything. Do you know who's sending me these messages? She hesitated. No. But I have an idea. Who? There's someone you should meet. A woman named Nina. She used to work at the clinic, back then. She was close to your mother. Why haven't you mentioned her? Because she disappeared for years. I didn't think I could find her. But last night, she sent me a message too. What did it say? She exhaled. It said, he doesn't remember. But he will. I thought the worst part was the betrayal, my wife, my brother, my father. But it wasn't. The worst part was knowing I didn't even understand myself anymore. Because now, the past wasn't just chasing us. It was inside us. In our blood. In the lies we told ourselves to stay sane. The message Lily received echoed in my head. He doesn't remember. But he will. We agreed to meet Nina that afternoon. She sent an address on the outskirts of town, a small cottage tucked behind a line of trees. Private. Remote. Quiet in a way that made my nerves crawl. Aaron drove. He was jumpy the whole ride. His hands kept tightening around the steering wheel like he was bracing for a crash. You okay? I asked. No, he said flatly. But I need to know what I did. I need to remember. When we pulled up, a woman was already waiting on the porch. She looked about 60. Slim. Gray hair in a loose bun. Her eyes were sharp, the kind that had seen too much and stopped blinking because of it. You must be Aaron, she said as we stepped out. He hesitated, then nodded. And you, she said, turning to me, look exactly like her. Your mother. I swallowed hard. She led us inside. The house smelled like lavender and dust. There were old medical textbooks stacked on shelves, faded photographs of patients and nurses, and a single photo of my mother, framed by the fireplace. Her eyes looked softer than I remembered. Her smile wasn't the hollow one in our family pictures. She trusted you, I said. Nina nodded. She was the bravest woman I ever met. Aaron sat stiffly on the edge of the couch. What do you know? She looked at him carefully. More than you do. But you've blocked most of it out. You were a boy in the middle of something awful. It's not your fault. Then what happened to her? He asked. What did I do? Nina sat across from him, calm, steady. You didn't kill her, Aaron. But your father made you think you were part of it. She began slowly. Your mother, she explained, had discovered that your father was funneling money through the clinic, paying off girls he'd assaulted under the guise of financial aid or scholarship programs. One of those girls was Lily's mother. When your mother confronted him, he panicked. She threatened to go public. Divorce him. Expose everything. So he isolated her. Had her committed under false psychiatric grounds. Claimed she was a danger to herself. But he couldn't risk keeping her locked away forever. Southwest HE needed someone close to her. Someone he could manipulate. Aaron, Nina said, looking at him gently, he brought you to see her that night. Told you she wanted to say goodbye. But instead, he gave you a syringe. Aaron's face went pale. What? He said it was medicine. That she was in pain. You didn't know what it was. You injected her, just like he told you. You were only a kid, doing what your father asked. Aaron covered his mouth. Oh my God. She didn't die from it, Nina added quickly. She slipped into a coma. Died 2 days later. But your father told you she died that night, because of what you did. And you repressed it. All of it. Aaron was shaking. I thought I just saw her. I didn't remember, he looked at me, his face broken. I killed her. No, I said, getting up. He did. You were just a pawn. Tears rolled down his cheeks as he nodded silently, absorbing a truth too heavy to carry. After we left Nina's house, we sat in the car for almost an hour. Aaron didn't speak. Neither did I. Sometimes silence is the only language pain understands. Eventually, I broke it. What are you going to do? He wiped his face. Expose it. All of it. Every record, every tape, every lie. You sure you're ready for that? No, he admitted. But I don't think we have a choice anymore. That week, we hired an investigative attorney. Brought them the tapes, the letter, the documents, and Nina's statement. At first, they didn't believe half of it. But when we showed the medical files and the payment trail from our father's accounts, things changed. Fast. There were other victims. Other names. Stories buried under years of silence. The clinic had closed down, but some of the nurses were still alive, like Nina. And they remembered. It became a case. Not a criminal one, our father was already gone, but a public one. A reckoning. The estate went under review. Money was frozen. People came forward. And for the first time in years, Aaron and I weren't on opposite sides of something. We were brothers again. As for Lily, she stayed away during all of it. She gave me space, like she said she would. But one afternoon, she came by. Samuel was with her. He stood shyly at her side, watching me like a stranger who wasn't sure if he could trust what he saw. Lily knelt and whispered something to him. He stepped forward and held out a drawing, a crayon sketch of a tree with two figures standing underneath it. One was clearly Lily. The other had no face. I knelt down. "Is this me?" He nodded. I smiled gently. "You gave me really long arms." He grinned. "You look like a superhero." I laughed. Then looked up at Lily. "I'm not sure what I am anymore." She met my eyes. "You're someone who survived." That night, I sat alone in my house. Quiet. Still. The storm had passed, but the air still felt heavy. Like it always would. My phone buzzed one last time. Same number. This time, there was no message. Just a single word. Done. No photo. No twist. Just finality. I stared at the screen for a while. Then deleted the whole thread. Some ghosts don't need exorcising. Just letting go. I've stopped asking myself if I could have done something differently. I couldn't. None of us could. We were raised in someone else's lie, molded in his silence. But now, I know the truth. And the truth, brutal as it was, set me free. My father was a man who built his empire on fear and silence. But we, me, Aaron, Lily, and even Samuel, we get to write the next chapter. And it won't be one built on secrets.